finishing up this conversation, is there anything that you would want to say to, particularly to a mum who is thinking that they might need some support, whether they're pregnant or whether they are, they've had their baby, even if their baby's now 3 or 4, because we Mothers Helpers, we accept people who have older toddlers as well. Yeah, and they're kind of thinking, well, I'm under a lot of stress, and I think I need some support, but I'm feeling afraid of reaching out for help. And I don't, for whatever reason, and the reason could be anything, could be I'm afraid to talk to someone, or I don't really have time for that, or, whatever the thing is that they're telling themselves. What would you say to them?
I always say, and I feel this like intrinsically how hard it is to ask for help and how difficult it is to advocate for yourself as a human when you're a mom. And it's so brave when you do, and when you can find courage and motivation to do that you are already succeeding, and you're already showing up for your child and for yourself and your family. And that is so admirable and so strong, and that when you can do that, you will get help and you will be supported. And we talk about in the course that the number one barrier to becoming well is not knowing that you need help or being able to ask for it. So when you've already started that and asked for it and found an avenue for support, like through Mothers Helpers, you're on your way to finding well-being and a better way for you and your family.
Yeah, great. And I mean, motherhood is stressful. It is anyway. What is a good, maybe Gena, I don't know if you want to answer this one, but what is a good way of realizing that maybe you do need help? Because most mums would say, well, being a mum is stressful. At what point should I reach out for help? When do I identify that I need that?
I have this conversation quite often. I was talking to a woman that I've been having regular counselling sessions with, and she said to me, I'm still not finding, I'm not happy, and I think I need more. We're having a conversation around medication, and maybe that's what I need to do as well as this. She says, but how do I know? And I think it's, what is your threshold? Like, we could do an Edinburgh and your score says this, but your score says this doesn't mean that, your threshold for needing help is, some people sit probably on their Edinburghs at 15 and think that they're functioning fine, and then some people get a 10 and they're feeling like it's not, like the world's really hard. And I think it's what is happening for you inside. Is this harder than you want it to be? Do you feel like there's things that can change? And are you ready? I think is a massive one. And often we're not ready.
Are you ready to do the work?
Yeah. And if you're not ready to do the work, it's, it's not pointless, but it is, you're just going to start cycling yourself. So you've got to be in a place where you're ready. And actually being a mum is really hard. And sometimes, like you say, people wait until they've got a 3 or 4 year old, because that's when they're ready. And that is totally fine. It is okay to soldier through the first 3 to 4 years. I mean, it would be better getting help earlier, but it doesn't matter when it is, as long as you're getting some help at some point when your internal radar is going, something's not right. And that's that you mentioned earlier around going back to being mindful and having those mindful moments, is actually reflecting on who you are and what this journey looks like. And if you're starting to look and go, this is really not great time. Like, yes, motherhood's hard, but this is not fun. It's probably time to go, okay, let's put my hand up. And, reaching out's hard, but living day to day in hard, murky waters is hard too. So
yeah, that's hard on everyone, hard on the whole family. I'm super passionate about people getting help as early as possible, because I know that as someone who has, wasn't diagnosed for 18 months with perinatal depression, anxiety, the impact that had on me and my family just grew and grew and grew with time. And actually, in hindsight, despite the fact that early on I knew that I was a candidate for it, at some point I lost my insight, and probably because of the how severe the depression was, and partly because I was surviving this whole thing, and you get into survival mode for quite some time. And so it's super hard to identify it for yourself, let alone ask for help, let alone, or even have that self-awareness. So I really super encourage anybody listening who has a expecting mum or a mum of young children, anyone under 5, that, and you've picked up that they need support of any kind, even if it doesn't matter that from our point of view, we don't just take care of mums who've got depression or anxiety. We take care of mums under stress, and so we don't, you don't have to know whether or not they've got depression or anxiety. If you see that they are needing more support, get permission from them to refer them to Mothers Helpers. Yeah, because often you need someone to. I didn't get help until my counsellor and my husband said to me, "I think you need to go to the doctor." And that was when I got diagnosed. And once I was diagnosed, then I knew what I was dealing with, and then I could make some decisions around that. But until then, it felt like a fog, which is why we call it Out of the Fog. Leah, is there anything you look like you want to say something.
Do I? No, I was thinking I have a similar journey to Kristina in that I lost insight, and I also I think I couldn't assess my situation well. I couldn't see that I was unwell or that I was unhappy, and I got really used to feeling really bad, or almost comfortable with feeling bad. And that just became like, this is just my normal, this is just how it is. And then it's really hard to advocate. Then you don't even know, like, unless somebody else is feeding into you, or you have an active partner, a friend or mother, or someone who's noticing you, you don't know yourself. And for me, my moment was when my 5-year-old said, "Mommy, you never laugh."
Oh,
That's pretty heartbreaking, right? And
yeah.
I can remember it like it was yesterday, that, like, oh my God, I don't laugh. What do you mean? Like, I think I'm good. I think I'm funny. I think I'm happy. And then when I realized, like, no, I'm only stressed at home. I'm only overwhelmed. I'm only exhausted. I'm only surviving. That was such a huge turning point.
Yeah.
But so many of us live in little silos that we don't have a lot of people who are feeding back to us, and especially if you don't have healthy relationships or a close family by, you don't know how far you've gone.
Yeah. And also people are afraid to say anything. Like,
Sure.
I remember, I think my son was like 6 weeks, and I might have had a friend who said, "Oh, I think you might have postnatal depression." But she sort of said it in a way where it was like, and because I was in that survival mode, it just didn't even kind of it didn't kind of go in, and also I didn't know what to do about it. Like, because you're
Sure.
in this kind of, like I said, you're in this fog. So you kind of, your problem solving skills and all of that, your insight and all of that, it's just kind of gone. Or
That's
it did
right.
in me anyway. And I think that's common. And I think, you know, if she had said, and I think that we should get you some help,
That's right. And this
that's
is
what
what we're going to
it's not,
do.
and this is what
Yeah.
we're going to do. So actually, that's what people need. Like, I think they're afraid to say anything, or if they do say something, they don't want to be intrusive and say, "Hey, let's get you some help," because they assume that people have that agency for themselves. But actually, you lose a lot of that ability when you're in it. So you really, really need those people around you. So hopefully people listening today will hear that and be mindful of that. I just want to thank you, both of you, for your time today. And I feel very, like, I think the world of you. I think you're just amazing. And I always tell other people about how amazing you are. But I'm sure as they're listening, you know, they will soon realize that actually talking to you, either of you, as our main contractors at Mothers Helpers, we do have others, but you know, as our main ones, you know, that they're going to have a conversation of care, of understanding, of empathy, and it really, really shows. Like, you know, just even this conversation, it really, really shows. And I just really want to thank you for that and acknowledge that, and you know, and how much you are of value to the organisation, but to mothers also, about what an amazing job you're doing. So thank you.